I put together a presentation, my final presentation of the evening, and I was prepared to do a little rap in handstand, but I was already, my fire's been stolen, so I had to rapidly change my presentation. But nevertheless, I do want to commend my colleagues. I mean, this is an extremely talented bunch of people. I mean, you've got chefs, doctors, and they're just very multi-talented. What I want to do is talk to you about the concept of the whole thing, and this is my day job. I practice cardiology and what have you in cardiac electrophysiology, but my passion is here. The concept that I want to get across is what you need not eat to be healthy. You know, in the years I've spent counseling patients in my office and one-on-one, I talk to them about the importance of eating fresh fruit and vegetables, and we talk about how studies show that eating more fresh fruit and vegetables and healthy food is beneficial, and so on and so forth. And I'll send them on their way with nutritional recommendations. I would write out the diets and meal plans and say, here, eat this, and so on and so forth. And then they would come back after a week or 2 weeks or a month, and I said, well, how did it go? How did you do on the meal plan? And they would say, well, doc, I'm eating less. I'm exercising more. I'm eating more spinach, eating more kale. And these are all wonderful things. But I found that despite eating more of this and eating less of that, the disease condition continued to progress. The blood pressure was still elevated. The cholesterol was still elevated, and so on and so forth. And one thing I realized, and I became a little smart, I started to ask the question, did you give up all of the X, Y, and Z foods that we asked you to give up? Did you give up all of the dead animal flesh? Did you give up all of the eggs? Did you give up all of the dairy? And I would find out that they didn't. They would eat more spinach, but they'd still eat dead animal flesh. More kale, but still dead animal flesh. And the key to this, all these diseases, this is a picture of a tree, it's in my book, and the key is the poor nutrition. You have to completely remove the poor nutrition in order to get rid of the disease state. I give an analogy oftentimes. If you were to open up a bank, and in your bank you'd hire 5 nuns and 2 thieves. And after about a month, you check your drawers. Every day your drawers come up short. Money's missing. She said, I need more integrity in this bank. So you hire 5 more nuns. So then you have 10 nuns and 2 thieves. And another month later, you check your drawers are always still coming up short. And then you said, I still need more integrity in this bank. So you hire another 5 nuns. So you have 15 nuns and 2 thieves. And guess what? Your drawers still come up short. The problem isn't that you don't have enough nuns. The problem is you haven't gotten rid of the thieves. And what I want to talk to you about is the subject of what's going to be my next book, is what you need not eat to be healthy. Because when we're fighting advanced disease, when we already have diabetes, when we already have high blood pressure, when we already have heart failure, etc., we need to completely remove the thieves. Those of you in the boot camp, who's been in the boot camp before? Okay, all right. What's our statement in the boot camp? Not a, all right, of anything bad to eat. You have to completely remove bad things from your diet. And so the key is that, because it's very important. Yeah, we have a food prescription intervention model that we talk about in the boot camp and in our wellness program. It actually consists of about 5 different approaches. But the number one approach is to define and remove sources of poor nutrition. Now, yeah, we got to find sources of excellent nutrition and replace it, create an environment that reinforces the necessary lifestyle, provide individuals with necessary tools, and enable patients to become their own experts. All of these support number one. Number one is the key. If you remove all of the bad stuff from your diet, 100%, then you need not worry about chronic illness sneaking up on you. You need not worry about high blood pressure being the silent killer. You have to remove the bad stuff. So we're going to talk about the nature of what's bad and why we need to remove it. Because once we get that concept down, I think it's going to be very, very important. So what is food? Well, quickly, foods are complex chemical substances. We don't think about it in that way. We think of food as being something, a comfort source. I want to put something on my palate that is going to massage my palate. It's juicy, it's warm, it's creamy, it's sweet, it's spicy, it's zangy, it's zesty, or blah, blah, blah. The bottom line, these are chemicals that we're putting in our body. Now, these chemicals have one of two characteristics. They're nourishing or beneficial, or they're non-nourishing, i.e. poisonous. Okay? There's no in between. Some may be neutral seeming because you don't recognize the poisonous aspect right away. But these things are non-nourishing, then they're wasting space and they're causing some harm. And we need to keep them away from our bodies. Now, if you're young and healthy and have lots of reserve, you can probably do damage to yourself for a little while and not notice it. If you have advanced illness, when you do damage to yourself, you don't have as much reserve, so you notice it. So most people come to me, they have little or no reserve, so as they do damage to themselves, they notice it. Their blood pressure goes up, they get short of breath, have chest discomfort, et cetera, et cetera. So that's when we can really work with them. However, this mechanism still applies when you're young and you think you're healthy, because poison is poison. And whether you feel it or you don't feel it, you're doing harm and you're doing damage. Okay? So, non-nourishing substance, they're equal to poison. They're toxic effects. These are substances that act like poison. So what's a poison? We tend to think of poisons as substances, if I take it, I'll get really, really sick right off the bat, or I'll die. And that's not necessarily the case. Poisons have the inherent tendency to either destroy life, that's the concept that we think of, or impair health. Now, it don't have to impair health to the point that we're really, really sick. They just have to have some impairment of health. So if I eat something that predisposes me to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or arthritis, et cetera, that's an impairment of health. And therefore, that substance is a poison. So we have to think of these chemical substances that we call food that we put in our mouth as something that's going to either do good to us or do bad to us. Okay? So what are these foods that should do bad to us, that'll do bad things to us, and that we should avoid? Well, we talked about it a lot today. We may have to rename this symposium the No Meat Doctor Symposium. One of my patients, was to talk to me, and we got her on tape. She was to talk to her friends at church, and she said, "Oh, my doctor's helping me out. He's got me on this wonderful diet." And they said, "We don't want to hear about your no meat doctor." But that's okay. I've got some friends. I said, I've gained, there's a group of us now, huh? A group of no meat doctors. So the point is, animal protein. Well, what's wrong with animal protein? Well, it consists of a number of things. There's animal flesh. That's the meat that we see. Okay, that's the fish meat or chicken meat, the muscle. But inside is nerves and fat and muscle and internal organs and bones and ligaments and tendons. It's often mixed in with that. Okay. Then the animal excretions. See, this also is part of animal protein. Well, that's milk and blood and urine and feces and eggs. All of this comes mixed in with the animal substance that we're eating. We may eat the eggs by themselves. Sometimes we'll have the feces mixed in with the meat and the muscle, and some blood is in there because you have some of the veins, and so it's all mixed in there together. And you put a little seasoning in there, a little butter and salt and all these other chemicals that we add to food. And some people say, what? That's good eating, right? I wish I could say I was the first one to think of this concept, but Albert Einstein says that nothing will benefit human health and increase chances for survival of life on Earth as much as the evolution of the vegetarian diet. This is interesting, because I have another slide talk that I do where Edison says something similar to this. And, we have a number of bright thinkers, broad thinkers, who understood this very simple concept that human beings are meant to consume plants as their nutritional source. What are the adverse effects of animal protein? Well, it raises cholesterol. It's a source of cholesterol. If I were to put a nutritional chart comparing animal protein and plant protein, the amount of cholesterol in animal protein would be infinitely greater than plant protein. It's virtually zero cholesterol in plant protein. Animal protein disturbs kidney function. You heard Dr. Washington's talk. It weakens your bones. It can cause an acidifying effect in the blood, and that results in calcium loss from the bones. It causes the body to excrete more uric acid, resulting in gout. There's a molecule that's been studied over the recent 5 to 10 years, the new 5-GC molecule. It's found in every form of animal protein, and this molecule triggers an autoimmune reaction that results in inflammation that leads to chronic illnesses. So even chicken and fish and eggs and all of these things have this same new 5-GC molecule, which shows, again, these forms of substances are foreign to the human body and not meant to be there. So they result in an adverse effect. So when you look at the red meat chart, there are various aspects of it. There's a heart attack section, there's the acne section, you got the cancer section here, the hind quarter with the infected section. So it's all a disease state that we're consuming. And I often talk to my individuals and patients who come to me and they say, well, all my tests are quote unquote normal. So can I be sure that I'm not going to have a problem? And I say, you can't be sure. If I can do a stress test, an EKG, et cetera, and if it's all normal, your blood tests are all normal, I don't know if there's no disease in some cell or cells in your body that the blood test is not picking up. In my book, I talk about a woman who will wake up one morning, she has one cancer cell in one breast. She can get a mammogram, it'll be negative, physical exam will be negative, blood test will be negative. However, it's going to take that one cancer cell about 7 to 8 years of doubling time before it's detected on mammogram. So she's going to walk about 7 to 8 years, maybe longer, with normal tests, but still having disease that she's feeding with this type of food. So really the diagnostic tests, diagnostic and therapeutic tests of the 21st century should be the meal plate, because the best way to ensure that you're going to have the optimal health is to screen your meal plate. We talked about the screening tests, and Dr. Mason says these are not screening tests, these are early detection tests, and he's correct. You do a mammogram, you see a cancer, that's early detection of disease. You do a colonoscopy, a polyp, that's early detection of disease. But the true screening test is to analyze the plate. Because if you look at your breakfast plate, if there's no dairy, no dead animal flesh on the breakfast plate, no processed carbohydrates or chemicals and solvents on the breakfast plate, and you remove it all from the breakfast plate, then it's not getting in your system. And that's where you cut the disease off. If you look at it, the lunch plate, and do the same thing, and screen your lunch plate, that's when you can ensure proper health. If you look at the dinner plate and screen the dinner plate and remove all the toxic foods and substances from the dinner plate, that's where you ensure proper health. So proper screening starts at the meal plate. And if you screen the meal plate properly, that's where you ensure optimal health. So let's think about dairy products. There's another form of meat, but I want to talk about dairy products in particular. We got the old Got Milk campaign. This is a short list of the problems with caused by dairy products. Now, many patients come to and say, okay, get off dairy products. Oh, I don't drink milk. Okay, then you talk to them a little bit longer and they have, I have yogurt and low-fat this, and I had cookie, and the cookie has milk and various other things in it. So you consume dairy products if you're not actively looking to remove it from your diet. And it's not the fat. So a lot of people will ask, well, how about skim milk or zero-fat milk? And the fat in the milk is part of the problem, but the big part of the problem is the protein. One such protein is casein protein. It has been associated with all of these diseases, rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis. I'm sorry this is small print, but there were so many that there, and this is not the complete list. I mean, the list of diseases is so long, I have to have microscopic print. Acne, atherosclerosis, stomach bloating, bronchitis, cancer, chest infections, eczema, hay fever, hemorrhage, hypertension, hives, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the problem with this list is the following. Patients will consume their dairy products, trigger these conditions, go see the doctor, get medications to suppress these conditions, then go back and consume the dairy products, trigger these positions, then go back and increase the medications because it doesn't suppress these conditions enough. And then they go back and consume their dairy products, trigger worsening of these conditions, and take more and more medications. That's why if you notice, if you or a loved one is being seen by a physician, over time your medication list goes up. Your medication doses go up because the disease is not in these symptoms. Hypertension is not the disease. Hives is not the disease. Atherosclerosis is not the disease. The disease is the putting of the bad food in the mouth. That's the disease. And we're not treating the disease. Okay? So we're just buffering the symptoms. So if you had a cat burglar that breaks in your house, and you had a little kid next door, is sleeping next door, and the cat burglar goes in as he's choking your kid, and the kid's screaming, right? And you get up in the morning and you say, oh, my kid is screaming. And you run to the next room and you see the cat burglar choking your kid, and the kid's screaming and making noise. Instead of beating up the cat burglar, you put a pillow over the kid's mouth and buffalo the noise and go back to sleep. That's what we're doing with our illness, okay? The high blood pressure is screaming, hey, I'm malnourished. The stomach bloater is screaming, I'm malnourished. The bronchitis, I'm malnourished. The allergies, the asthma, acne, all these things are just signs. These are warning signs. The body's screaming out, I'm malnourished. Instead of treating the problem, we're just suppressing the problem. Put a little salve on the skin, put a little something in the medication to drop the blood pressure, but the disease process persists because we continue to put the bad food in the mouth. A bite, a drop, a crumb at a time. Moderation does not help. Moderation kills. Everything in moderation leads everybody to the cath lab, leads everybody to the dialysis center, leads everybody to the bypass table. That's what moderation does. Everything in moderation leaves everybody ill. So what do these toxins come from? They're in our food sources. We have added toxins. So not only do we have food that are inherently bad, so animal protein and animal products are inherently bad. So they say, okay, fine. I'm going to stop eating animal products. I'm going to eat only plant-based foods, okay? That's great. But we have toxins that are added foods. Now, we add toxins to the animal products, so animal foods are bad inherently. So not only are they bad enough if I eat the organic chicken, or organic pig, and organic fish, but we add toxins to them. We give them antibiotics because of the living conditions. They're given hormones to help them grow faster. So we add poison to poison. So it's double poison for the animal products. If we look at toxins added to other food sources, we've got hormones and meat and the like. And here's a little diagram showing how we treat the cows. You get the antibiotics into the cow, and at the same time, we're trying to get the cow to generate more milk. So they're putting more hormones in a pregnant cow, and we can increase our milk production. But the cow's immune system suppressed, so we need to drop some antibiotics and vaccines in there as well. All of these things are passed on to the our food products, and then our kids, our young girls are getting lots of hormones, and we're getting cancers, breast cancer at an early age. A 13-year-old, 14, 17-year-old women getting cancer because all of these disease products are predisposing to the disease state. So not only do you have the inherent molecule, the casein protein, that's triggering disease, but you have the chemicals added to the inherent molecule that's worsening the disease as well. Now, food additives and preservatives. So even if you're consuming plant-based foods, you have to be careful because if they're overly processed plant-based foods, then you have a problem. Sodium nitrate can be added to meats. Aspartame can be is a chemical, a processed chemical in and of itself. You have coal tar dyes that can be added to sugary soft drinks. They're also in medications and candies. MSG, BHT, these are all preservatives. Nitrosamines are also color enhancers, which can cause liver cancer and the like. The heavy metals that are found in some of our meats and plastics that are found in certain foods that are stored in plastic containers and bottles, flame retardants and dioxins. So we have to read labels. We have to look at foods that are processed and stored over a long period of time. So it's one thing to look at animal proteins and animal products and remove them, and that's a very important first step. You go plant-based, but when you go plant-based, you have to look at all other sorts of contaminants that we have in our food. So you can be vegan or vegetarian and drink soft drinks or eat jelly beans or the like, but you still won't have optimal health. So you have to totally remove toxic foods and toxic substances from your diet. Now, how about rendered food, these rendered meats? Now, I pulled this slide from one of our boot camp slides because I want to get this point across. You know, when we eat foods at certain restaurants, these are some cheap fillers, and oftentimes patients will tell me it's too expensive to eat healthy, and you can go and have certain foods that are inexpensive, whether they're inexpensive meats in the supermarket, or you may go to certain fast food places or non-branded fast food places, have inexpensive meats and things like that. Oftentimes, these places don't get food from great sources. That's called rendering plants. These rendering plants are processing operations where dead animals are recycled. Okay, so you get recycled dead animals, and it's used for human food, pet food, livestock, and industrial materials. So what is this recycling process? Well, here you go. This is a busy slide, but I highlighted a few things. Well, they accept and collect animals that are condemned at slaughterhouses. So these are the animals that have cancers and infection and pus falling out because they're sickly, and they'll take these animals and grind them up and these rendering houses. You have slaughterhouses with waste. There's roadkill. So if you ever drive on the street, see dead animals or rodents on the street, they're dead. They scoop them up, put them in a bag, and take them to one of these rendering houses. You have euthanized cats and dogs and animals in shelters that have been euthanized. Dead zoo animals and rats and mice. All of these things are scooped up and put in a bag, and all put in a big vat and and then they put them in nice little pad, and then you got to add your coal tar dyes and all the colors and dyes, and make it. And there's hamburger meat on sale. Hamburger meat on sale. So a lot of these rendered dead animal meats are toxic foods. And then I was talking to a friend the other day. He called me and somewhat related. Said he went to a bar and had shrimp and has been having diarrhea for 2 weeks. I didn't give him a lecture about how shrimp is bad for him, because he called me and told me how shrimp was bad for him. So why am I going to I mean, oftentimes patients will come in and say, oh, I had some shrimp and chicken. I've been sick and my bowels are running and I'm weak and tired. You just told me how bad it is for you. The problem is you just haven't sunk in. You're going to go back and eat it next week when you get better. That's the problem. We got to deal with some psychological things. I got to bring Dr. Lau back in a few more sessions and have him work with us. But the issue is this. There's a concept of detoxification, and we ask, okay, how can I detox? And the individual will come and say, well, here's a substance I got off the health food shelf, and it says good for detox, and is this good and natural? The key is that the body detoxes naturally. The reason we have problems with building up toxins is that we're putting toxins in at a much more rapid rate than we're removing toxins. Now, why does this happen? There are two effects. One, we're eating bad stuff all the time. There are multiple aspects of this. One, we eat bad food, so it's nutrient poor. If it's nutrient poor, the brain is constantly asking for more. So we go and eat a pappardelle platter, and the belly gets full. But then when the belly gets tight, we say, I'm going to stop eating. But then the belly gets loose, it said, I want more, because the brain says, I don't feel it yet, go back. So then we go back, eat another platter. Belly gets tight, we get full, we stop. Then the brain says, after the belly gets loose, I'm not feeling it yet. Go back and get more. So we get more. So the problem with portion size is that we're eating foods that are toxic rich and nutrient poor. And they're also calorie rich. And so the only thing that stops is that our gut gets tight and we can't put any more in, and so we stop. But when the gut gets loose, we're hungry again because we haven't nourished the body. The brain says we haven't been nourished, go back. So that's the difficulty with portion control. Well, what that does, and so we eat too much because we're not eating enough. Now, isn't that ironic? We eat too much because we're not eating enough. We're not eating enough nutritious food. So we put too much of these toxins in because we're having to eat a lot, and so the body gets overloaded with toxins. Well, what happens when the body gets overloaded with toxins? Well, our detox organs, our major detox organs are liver, kidney, GI system. Now, there are others, but those are the main ones. And so when we put things in our system that doesn't move through, then it plugs up these systems. Our bowels don't move, so we don't detox through our intestines. Our liver gets overloaded. We get fatty liver, so the liver's not breaking down chemicals. So these toxins build up because our detox mechanisms are no longer working, and our kidneys start to fail because they're overloaded. So we build up toxins, so this arrow gets smaller. So the first step in detox is to not tox. So when you remove all toxins, 100%, this is an X. This is not a squiggly line or anything like that. This is an X, red X. That means zero. Zero toxins. Once you do that, then this process starts to increase. This arrow gets bigger. So 0 toxins in, what does that do? Well, that frees the bowels up. You hear Dr. Washington say, hey, you can have a bowel movement when you start eating healthy food. You stop eating bad food, start eating healthy food, you have a bowel movement. Well, that's an increased toxic removal. The liver starts chumming and things and starts working more effectively. Kidneys start working more effectively. When you lose a lot of weight, a lot of that swelling and edema. And that's because the fluid between the cells, between the tissues are being removed. So the point is, the first aspect of toxin removal is not putting toxin in. And the body will handle the rest. You don't have to do anything too special after that. So after we've removed all of these things, no chicken, no fish, no eggs, no butter, no grits, no blah, 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 overly processed grits. What can I eat? What is optimal nutrition? Well, water, plant-based foods, raw fruits, vegetables, seeds, sprouts, and sunshine. We didn't talk a lot about sunshine. We're sitting in here in a conference room all day, raining outside. But sunshine is a nutrient, as I classify it. The reason I put water as the #1 nutrient is that, you know, if we're all stranded on a desert island, or an island, I should say, and a divided room in two, and half the room you had a choice, you can either have 30 days of water or 30 days of baked chicken, either or, and you're going to be here for 30 days. We'll come and get you in 30 days. You know, which would you choose? Water. We all know that. And we know that we can survive with 30 days of water. We can do without the baked chicken because water is the #1 nutrient. You made mostly of water. That's what Dr. Washington says. You give them water. And beyond that, you've got natural plant-based foods. Well, these natural raw foods, why do I emphasize raw? Well, if you take an apple and you pluck it from the tree and eat it, the apple is fully hydrated. It has lots of what? Water. Now, when I'm eating that apple, not only does the apple have enzymes and it has vitamins and minerals, and yes, it has protein and all of the good things, but it has lots of water. The majority of the apple is water. If I take that same apple and pluck it from the tree and I bake it and then take it out, maybe I just bake it at 100 degrees, okay, to satisfy the so-called raw vegans. So I bake it at 100 degrees to dehydrate it, and it shrivels up. It may still have the live enzymes and the protein and the vitamins and minerals, but what is it missing? Water, okay? So the apple in its most natural state is going to be most nutritious because it's very hydrated. More importantly, not only is that apple, someone's asking a question about alkaline water, okay? And there's been some people talked about alkaline water, how alkaline water is better than the regular water because it's better structured and because of the alkaline state, it helps cell function, et cetera. But guess what kind of water is inside plants? Alkaline water. And it's perfectly alkalized. So if you get up in the morning and eat half a watermelon, or perhaps eat the whole watermelon, how many glasses of water do you think you want to drink for the rest of the day? If you wake up in the morning, you eat a cantaloupe or 2 cantaloupes, how many glasses of water are you going to want to drink the rest of the day? Are you going to need to drink for the rest of the day? If you wake up in the morning and eat 5 cucumbers or 10 cucumbers, for that matter, how many glasses of water are you going to need to drink for the rest of the day? None, because the water is plant-derived. And in fact, the ideal form of water, the ideal source of water is the water that comes from our plants. In fact, the ideal nutrients, save sunshine, comes from plants. We want plant-derived water, plant-derived protein, plant-derived minerals, plant-derived enzymes, plant-derived everything. Our nutrients should come from plants. These plants have antioxidants, they have vitamins, they have all sorts of things. They have fats, okay, the lignans, everything is in the plants. And they were designed for our consumption, for our better health. And so if you consume plants as close to their natural state, this is not about raw veganism or raw thisism or raw thatism. This is about health. This is about if your heart's only beating 10% and your kidney's about to fail and you want a better quality of life, what are you going to do? Okay, this is about if your blood pressure is 220 over 120, you want to avoid a stroke and have to live in a nursing home and have somebody wipe your rear end, what are you going to do? So you're going to nourish the body. It's as simple as that. But proper nourishment starts with what? Removal of all the thieves. Okay? You can drink all the water you want, eat all the raw fruits and vegetables you want, all the raw seeds you want, all the raw sprouts, get all the sunshine you want. If you're putting poison in your body, you're undermining the effort. So the key is the absolute removal of every source of poison in your system. That's where optimal nutrition begins, and that's where optimal health begins. The foundation of optimal health is step one, number one, remove all sources of poisonous food. Remove all sources of toxins from your diet. Step two is then replace it with all of this stuff. And you don't have to worry about step three and step four once you have these down. Well, what about exercise? I want to say a few things about this because I get this kickback as well. What's wrong with having a cheeseburger as long as I run it off, right? I mean, can't we just run it off, run off the calories and run off the bad food? You know, I exercise a little bit. That's the thinking. There are young kids that can eat all they want because they exercise, they're young, they're vital. Well, why don't we ask Jim Fixx? This gentleman's Jim Fixx. Y'all know who Jim Fixx is? Well, he exercised a lot. He's very lean. But unfortunately, Jim Fixx is not here. You know what happened to Jim Fixx? He suffered a cardiac arrest, sudden death, boom. The same thing that Dr. Stringola was talking about, sudden cardiac arrest. And when they did his autopsy, published in the paper, all three of his major arteries were clogged, plugged up. Now, does this look like somebody who has coronary artery disease? He's lean, mean running machine. Then people say, well, it's in his genes. But he doesn't wear jeans. He's a runner. So there goes that theory. No, the point is, it's the bad food. If I put 5 drops of cyanide in your water every morning, your coffee every morning, how far do you have to run it off? Okay? You can't, bad food is poison. Baked chicken is poison. Fish is poison. Dairy products are poison. Eggs are poison. You can't run it off. You have to simply remove it from the plate, remove it from the palate. That's where you're going to get your best chance of optimal health. Remove the poison in totality. So, but doc, do I really have to give up my eggs? I like eggs. I really have to give up. I remember watching there was a Today Show clip a while back, and there was a health guru came on and talking about eating, and who's the guy at the Today Show? Oh, I hadn't seen the show in a while. Matt Lauer. The first thing out of Matt Lauer's mouth, okay, do I have to give up my pigs in a blanket? I don't want to give up my pigs in a blanket. I mean, he didn't let the guy start. You can't talk unless you tell me I can't give up my pigs in a blanket. Okay, you can keep your pigs in a blanket. Okay, now you can go on. The interview wasn't going to happen. So we don't want to give up a lot of things. But guess what? We are giving up things. You don't know that you're giving it up, but you're giving it up. So you don't want to give up your bacon? Fine, keep your bacon. Why don't we make an exchange? I give you your bacon, you give me your heart. We got 3 heart transplant centers right here in the Texas Medical Center. That's phenomenal. Or pathetic, I don't know which. The point is 3 heart, so there are people lying in a hospital right down the road who want a heart transplant. Do I have any volunteers, anybody who wants to donate their heart? Now. Okay? You won't donate it to a good cause, but yet you're going to donate it to your bacon. You're going to donate it to your eggs. You're going to donate it to your baked chicken and to your nacho chips or Cheetos or whatever you eat. You're donating your heart, bite by bite. How about your brain? Do you know there's an article published in the British Journal of Medicine stated that the brain decline starts at 45 now. It used to be 60. Now, brain decline, a lot of people walking in with brain fog. We can now, in our office, one of the things we do genetic testing. We have part of the Natural Health Emporium is that we do personalized medicine. We can swab your cheeks and check your genes and see if you're sensitive to extra medications. We can also look at your genes, your genetic makeup, and see if you are predisposed to cardiovascular disease and dementia. We can check and see if you have a predisposition to Alzheimer's. And a lot of people have that genetically. But Alzheimer's is a growing impairment. It's an ugly disease. It affects the individual who has it. It affects the loved ones around. Okay? But we're willing to give up our brain function for these foods that we so-called love. How about your liver? You know, the liver is very important. You know, if you lose liver function, you die, plain and simple. And it's in a matter of minutes. If your liver, if we pull both kidneys out, if somebody walked around and pulled both kidneys out of everybody, you get sick after, I don't know, tonight, tomorrow, the next day. We'd have to call Dr. Washington by day 3 or day 4. If you walked around and pulled all your livers out, you wouldn't make it out that door. You get very, very sick very fast. So liver function is very important. But despite that, we're trashing our livers with these chemicals. Macaroni and cheese with yellow dye number 40 and various other chemicals and substances. The protein that we consume, the dead animal flesh, this has to be processed by the kidney. You break down animal protein to ammonia. The liver has to transfer that ammonia to urea. Dr. Washington talked about blood, urea, nitrogen. That urea is a good thing because the alternative is ammonia. Ammonia is very toxic. You can go into a coma if the ammonia builds up too much in your blood. So the issue with the liver is very important. You're giving up kidney function. So these dead animal flesh, the dairy products, the substances that are chemicals and toxins are eroding our kidney function as well. And does anybody like getting up and walking to the bathroom at night? We lose leg function due to the circulation problems. Okay, and Dr. Charlton Al talked about that. So we're making changes. We just don't realize that we're making changes. So when we say, look, I want to keep this, I want to keep that, I like this, that's fine. But I want you to be aware, I want you to be informed that you're making a lifestyle change one way or the other. Okay? You just need to be aware that the possibility, the alternative may not be as bad as what you think. So what does all this mean? What is it, what's the final answer? Those who think you have no time for healthy eating will sooner or later have no time for illness. Will sooner or later have time for illness. The thing is that we have to be realistic about this. We have to be informed. I'm aware that there's a psychological effort. There's a lot of difficulty in eating healthy in this environment. There are a lot of bad foods around. I hear all the stories. There's a growing movement. There's a Vegan Society of Peace. Has lots of educational information. We do a lot in our office with this conference and other conferences. There's growing efforts. Supermarkets are having healthier foods and the like. But even if none of that stuff was around, even if you had to start your own restaurant, even if you had to start your own supermarket, even if you had to grow your own farm, it's worth the effort. It's worth the effort because your health depends on it. And you don't want to lie on somebody's dialysis table if you can avoid it. You don't want to lie on somebody's open heart surgery table if you can avoid it. You don't want to lie on somebody's cath table if you can avoid it. You want a healthy, vibrant quality of life. And that's what it's all about. And thank you very much for your attention.